The new Commander supplement and expansion for Kill Team 40K is officially here, and the community is going crazy. People are freaking out, wondering, is this the end of Kill Team? And today I figured we'd look at the facts, and even more valuable than doing a simple unboxing, in my opinion, I thought we'd look at some of the concerns people have about the future of Kill Team with the arrival of this new chapter of the game. Welcome back to BeerNerd 40K. If you're obsessed with Kill Team, you're in the right place, my friend. Be sure to like this video and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And with that out of the way, let's take a look at what I think about Kill Team Commanders. As I said, the new expansion has many people speculating online about the future of Kill Team. But what is in this expansion? Is Commanders killing Kill Team? Are the glory days over? The answer, in my opinion, as somebody that has been talking about and thinking about Kill Team since the day it was announced in mid-March and played heavily since the day it released, is no. I have played in competitions, leagues, narrative campaigns, matched play, you name it, and I don't see anything to fear here just yet. I think that some people in their rush to put out videos and stay on top of the trend might have put out some misinformation. Now, of course, this probably was not intentional on their part, but there is a reason that industry executives literally refer to YouTube creators as micro-influencers. What we say can have an impact on people's perceptions of a product and how that product is received. If that information is inaccurate or incorrect, it can cause unnecessary fear in our community when customers start hearing over and over again that the sky is falling. I think this is what is happening with Commanders. The fact is that until now, though, people doing reaction videos haven't even seen the actual product yet in many cases. And people that I speak to in person are often repeating the incorrect information they heard somewhere else and making a purchasing decision based on false information. What Commanders is a Kill Team 40K expansion. If you open it up, in the box you get a softcover rulebook almost the same size as the core manual. This thing is absolutely full of new rules, new missions, and commanders for every faction in Kill Team, with the exception of the Rogue Trader factions, which already have rules for commanders of their own. To be honest, it's going to take a lot of time to assimilate all of this into my brain areas, so I will probably be going over the different specialisms available, the new tactics, what the book has inside, and just thinking of lists in future videos. So feel free to subscribe if you want to be along for that and just kind of learn these things together. Inside the box, you get some cards for easy reference. There are a lot of new psychic abilities and new tactics in the game now, so these can be an easy reference right there if you need it. So I know I'll be picking certain cards out and keeping them close in my next few games as I kind of get used to these new commanders. These tokens are a lot like the ones from any Kill Team starter set you have, so they probably look familiar to you. The ones that don't look familiar are actually just aura tokens. It's something that you can use to remind yourself and your opponent that you activated some kind of power or psychic ability that the commander has for that turn. A lot of commanders actually buff your guys more than anything, so not everybody is just a beat stick monster in commanders. These tokens kind of help you remember that buffs are in effect. You also get a whole bunch of data cards, probably as many as you'll ever need, so you can just write down your custom commanders that you've made onto these. And that's what's in the box. So in games of commanders, the rule is that in order to use commanders, you need to use one of the unique new commanders missions in this box. Both sides have to agree to play commanders. Vanilla Kill Team is still a thing, and you still need to have the vanilla rules and core units in order to play this new expansion. In fact, yesterday a local player told me he's not going to buy commanders. Well, I'm in the middle of a league, so I try to set up a normal game anyway, even though I did get the commander supplement. So if this is not for you, that's okay. You're probably going to be just fine finding games still. The idea that this is the end of 100-point match play is incorrect in my opinion. As for competitions and tournaments, these have been all over the place anyway. Some will likely still be core only, some will probably include commanders. The competitions so far have been far from standardized. Some want you to just take a take-all-comers list and just run one team against whatever shows up. Some allow you to use the rosters, but like in the case of Nova, they wanted you to play their own missions. Some tournaments are just completely weird, like the one that was held today that was your Kill Team versus Zombies in honor of Halloween, where players weren't even competing against each other on the board, but were supposed to fight hordes of zombies and accrue points with the highest score picking a winner. So there's no standard way of tourneys being run right now, even though the core manual explicitly says how this should be happening. As far as I know, for example, the Las Vegas Open will be running Nova missions with 20 model rosters at 100 points. So the big competitions are likely going to be staying with that trend, since that's what the big ones have done so far. And everybody else kind of seems to see that, hey, this is where the bar has been set, and now other organizers are aspiring to meet that. So not too much is changing, especially if you consider that you still need a leader. You're still able to take up to 3 specialists, just like you're used to. It's the same specialisms, everything. Just kind of think of commanders like a 4th specialism. And what this book is all about is just how to run them and missions that you can kind of play them in. In commanders, yes, games are played at 200 points typically. This is 100 points more than Kill Team games that we've gotten used to over the past few months. But in 6th and 7th edition, Kill Team was run at 200 points. So this is still within the normal range that Kill Team was traditionally played at in previous iterations, and it's something a lot of people actually expected to happen. We're still about 300 points under the smallest games of vanilla 40k typically played in 8th edition. So this is not just 40k light now, even though we're 100 points higher than before in a lot of games. And I still don't think that this is just a way for GW to get more people playing larger games, even if GW originally wanted it to be that way. I could go on and on about this, but let's just look at one example. In 8th edition, in order to put 4 Genestealer Cult Acolytes with heavy rock cutters on the board, I needed to take them as part of a squad. Now you can't just put 4 Rockalites in a single squad either. The minimum you can take is 2 squads of 5 Acolytes, and the maximum number of Rockalites per squad is 2 in 40k 8th edition, meaning you have to pay a points tax and bring 6 other models in order to put these 4 good Rockalite models on the table. This brings you to 202 points for the squad's total, not counting any HQs. If you don't do this, you're usually not able to put these 4 Rockalite models down in normal match play games of Warhammer 40,000 8th edition. So 202 points to field the 4 models I actually want to bring. In Kill Team, I can put 4 of these models down for 48 points. I only take what I want. There is no tax other than the stipulation of bringing a leader. Whatever the nastiest model is, you can build that up right from the go, only paying the points for that model. You take what's available and build the nastiest builds you can within the rule set, and you do this over and over again until you reach the points limit. These 12-point Rockalite models can instantly slay anything on the board with their special rule, yet the GSC are one of the lowest tier factions in the Kill Team meta. This is because the other guy playing you is doing the same thing, and he can spam plasma and frag cannons all day, whereas I cannot. So simply put, we're not just playing troops. We're dealing with lists that can spam plasma on every guy. We're dealing with 12-point models that can instantly slay a 7-wound model with the right rolls. And this is the low tier. And what's more, these units and builds don't easily translate over to 8th edition rule sets. The way that myself and most competitive players have constructed our models is not usable in 40k without a significant additional investment. So to go back to my original example of the 4 Rockalites, you get 5 Acolytes in a box. The extra special weapons for this optimal build to bring to 4 and spam the weapons, they're not included in that box. So people have to go to eBay and buy more from third-party sellers or just trade with friends. So rather than build that squad to be playable in 40k, we have min-maxed for Kill Team, so that we now need to buy 2 more $50 boxes if we wanted to play the models we already own with the 8th edition rule set. So even if GW wanted Kill Team to be Gateway 40k, they have failed. In fact, instead of collecting more sizes and types of models for a faction and eventually graduating to 8th edition, most Kill Team players are tending to pick up and start another Kill Team faction they like instead of buying models they can't use in Kill Team. Most Kill Team players have several factions going for Kill Team. I'm working on my 4th faction as we speak. And my friend I'm playing tomorrow, he plays Tau, Admech, and Orcs, and is planning builds for at least 2 more factions. What Commanders is doing, what it's actually doing in a big way, is changing a meta that saw many factions very limited in builds. Let's look at Harlequins. They've had 1 choice for troops since the beginning. Now they have 3 commanders to choose from, which is finally going to bring a bit more variety to them. This is good because even though they're great in Kill Team isn't just about taking 1 list. And this is something I could really go on about, something I'll probably do another video on. Kill Team is more like the sideboard in Magic the Gathering, and you choose what you want to play that day based on the enemy faction. You don't have to declare what models you're taking until you know the enemy faction and the rules that you're playing for the mission. Even though Harlequins are good, the limited availability of models and builds made it easy to create hard counters to them and the rosters of other factions, and there were certain missions that they just struggled to deal with. And even though my 20 model roster has an answer for Marines, Tau, Guard, and on, Harlequins do not. The other thing that is happening is models that were previously uncompetitive now have a second chance. With my Tyranids, 7-point Termagants with Devourers have been largely written off as garbage in the meta due to the fact that the obscured penalties and long-range penalties had them hitting on 5s and 6s. Shooty bug lists were considered non-competitive because of how Kill Team works, and you didn't see the Termagants, even though you had the option to build them and take them. Now the Tyranid Prime has been introduced, and let's look at what he does. For 1 CP, he can activate an aura buff that gives +1 to hit for shooting and melee attacks. Suddenly, for 7 points, those Termagant models are doing similar offensive output to the 12-point Gene Stealers I run all day. And now that the game can run at 200 points, a new archetype that Kill Team previously had not seen is suddenly worth experimenting with. The Tyranids that were only viable when taking as a mainly melee build now have the option to run entirely as Daka bugs. I mean, let's just look at the math. 3 Devourer shots per Gaunt, hitting on 3s and 4s with the new Tyranid Prime aura. With the bump to 200 points, that means you could take 18 of these Devourer Gaunts, and a Warrior, the Venom Cannon, or a Strangler, which means you can tailor depending on what you're facing, and you can take a basic level 1 Tyranid Prime without upgrades, all within that limit. So just with the Gaunts, okay, that's 54 Strength 4 shots per turn just from the Gaunts, with about half hitting statistically thanks to the new Commander Aura. And if you take out a few Gaunts and you buy that Tactical Planner upgrade for the Prime for 15 points, congratulations, you now start the game with D3 plus 2 command points. With this, even melee bug builds are suddenly better because expensive tactics like Metabolic Overdrive that you needed to use to catch these quick-moving things like Tau flying, they suddenly have no problem being paid for. And you can stack these now affordably on other CP tactics to take this further. Turn 1 charges are a very real thing, and there are multiple ways to pull this off now. And back to shooting, your Venom Cannon or Barb Strangler Warrior Gunner can shoot twice in a phase for 2 CP with no problems if you had the points to pay for that. And by the way, he can benefit from the Prime Aura too. Now he's hitting on 4s even against obscured targets because of the super range on his weapon. He's not going to be at half range most of the time. He's hitting on 3s against models that are not obscured. He's putting out D3, Strength 8 shots, doing AP-2 and D3 damage each with that Venom Cannon. And since you have all these extra command points, you can do that again now if you want to. Do you see what I'm talking about? Build templates that weren't viable before are suddenly super crazy looking. Daka bugs, this whole archetype is a thing now because of commanders suddenly. And factions that have struggled, like my beloved Gene Stealer cults, they have struggled in the competitive meta originally. Well, they're now potentially going to be so good. And it's not because we can take a monster patriarch either. We already have great assault in the cults. What we needed was some kind of a psychic or a ranged shenanigan kind of thrown into the mix, and we got that with the Magus coming to Kill Team. He's very cheap, first of all, meaning that now I can bring more models than ever before, where other factions are taking less models now because they're trying to fit in monsters into their list. For some perspective, in 100-point games before, when I would run my Space Hulk list, I was only able to take about 8 Gene Stealers in that list, and that was my Kill Team for the day, if I wanted to run that theme. Now, with this bump to 200 points, I can take a level 1 Magus with the CP farm upgrade. So my game, it's starting with 2 plus D3 command points now. The Magus can do 2 different Cybolt powers per turn if I want to spend CP on that, which I kind of desperately needed as a close combat faction to be able to reach out and touch the enemy. But it's not just him that I can take. The Magus is cheap, and all those extra points allow me to take a Flamer Neophyte, 4 Acolytes with Rock Saws or Heavy Rock Cutters, and my entire Space Hulk themed list of the 8 Stealers fully upgraded with Toxin Sacs, Rending Claws, Scything Talons, you name it. On the other hand, my friend that was spamming 6 Plasma Calibers in normal Kill Team is going to have to take some of those out to fit his Dominus in. So even though I'm now at a much higher model count, playing at these same points, he will be playing with much fewer models. So Commanders is a bunch of new options to play, because new things are becoming viable. Factions that struggled now have a nice little boost, and on the flip side, some Cheesehammer lists are now going to have to reevaluate their approach because they just don't have the same points to work with that they've had for these last few months. This is Commanders as I'm seeing it now. But, as always, I'd like to know what you think. Are there some things you're still worried about that I didn't mention? Or are you a die-hard Commanders convert now that can't wait to get a game? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, be sure to like this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe to the channel. This is Beernid40K, and we'll talk again soon.